In this video, we're going to look at the Asset Warping tool and the Gradient tool. First thing we're going to do is make a new canvas, a place to work, and you'll see I've got the standard black and white colours here. We're going to change those in a minute. You can click on the colour, of course, and change any of the colours from here. But up in the corner here, there's another place where you can change colours. And this gives you access to not only solid colours, but linear gradients and radial gradients. We're going to choose a radial gradient because we're going to make a flame. If you double click on the little black box at the bottom of that toolbar there, you can choose, I'm going to choose a red, you can choose whatever colour you want. And on the other end, instead of a white, I'm going to choose a deeper yellow colour, something like that. So I've got a gradation from a red to a yellow. So the next thing I'm going to do is use those colours. You can see here it's changed in the colour swatch. I'll swap those around though because I want the black to be the colour I'm going to paint with first. I'll go to my brush tool and I'm going to use a thick brush to create the outline, which I will then delete later, but first I need to create it. So I'll get my black brush and I'm going to draw a flame. You're going to draw a flame too because we're going to make a rocket. So you'll need a flame of some sort. Don't worry about the bottom too much. We'll cut that off in the actual thing, but as long as it's got two or three things in it. Now I'll swap those colours around, go to my K or my fill toolbar and fill in my flame, and you'll see that that radiation colour, that radiant colours have filled it. But it's not quite what I want. I'll click on the black outline first and delete that, and there I have my flames. But I want to have that red down the bottom and the flames a bit more yellow. I'll make it a symbol first though, so I've got my symbol. I'll click on create symbol and then go OK. So now I've got my flame as a symbol, and you can see it's in my library, and that's fine. I can fix all of that up. If I double click on it, now you can see I've opened up the editing of the symbol, and I need to be in the symbol editing area. So I'm not in the scene. Just hold it for a minute there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is click on that toolbar down the bottom with the three dots, and you'll see this gradation tool. I'm going to drag that onto the toolbar, and then that allows me to play with the gradient. So when I click on the gradient, you can see that I have a number of other options here. The middle one puts the center of the radiant gradient where I want it, and then I can change the size, and you can see as I change it through the size one and the shape one. The shape one's the one here, and this one's the size one. You can see that it changes the way that the flame works, and the red is now quite intense in the middle there, and the yellows are at the top. I'll play around with that until I'm pretty happy with it, but again, you can do that with yours. There is another tool at the bottom of that, down here, which does turn it around as well. So, and that's more important if you've got a linear gradient. You can change the direction of the gradient. So I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'm going to use my warp tool, which is this little pin up the top. When you click on it, you can pin the shape, and you'll see what happens when you click on it. Again, now it forms the mesh. And I'm going to click this pin in a number of different places. And just click up here. I might go and click halfway up the flame or a bit closer to the top. Maybe one at the top. Another one on this flame here, about the middle. Another one at the top, perhaps. Down the middle here. One over here, maybe. A bit closer up the top. And another one at the top of that as well. So I've kind of got a range of points covered. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is create a frame at about frame 20, not a keyframe, a normal frame, and that means it's repeated across those frames. I'll go down to about frame 5 or 4, or you can choose whatever you want, and I am going to create a keyframe here. And so function F6 creates a keyframe. Now I'm going to move some of those points around on my asset, on my flame. I'll move that one up there, for example, and maybe move it in a bit there or whatever. You can see, now I want you to keep on doing this obviously, but I'll fiddle around with these. Now flames are quite random, so don't get too specific about which way they go and how they go. As long as they're sort of doing something a bit different each time, and you can drag it in there and drag it across there, for example. You can look at a flame and realise it is a very random thing. And I'll fiddle around with those a bit more. Let's say I'm happy with that. I'll go another 4 or 5 frames on, function F6, create another keyframe, and again I'll start moving my frames around, my flame around a little bit more, fiddling around with it, changing the way it looks, poking around with its appearance. Then I'll go make another keyframe, do some more. So you keep on doing this until you're happy. And you can always come back and rechange these things inside the symbol. You'll notice that we are inside the symbol. If we're not outside, if you're not in the symbol, this won't work. And I'll come back to that. Whatever. So, having done all of that, I'm going to, it looks pretty okay. I'm going to go back to my scene, and there's my flame inside my scene. It's only one frame, but when I play it, you can see the flame is doing flame-like things. Now I can go back in here and speed it up a bit by double-clicking. Oh, there it is. Double-clicking on the symbol. You can see this one I've sped up a little bit. I've removed some of the frames between the keyframes, and it's a bit faster. So save your file and keep it for the next tutorial.